back. That was a crap one. Let me try it again. We're back. It wasn't that much better, but I'm not going to do it again. But anyway, how's it going? Benja Welldone coming at you live on this beautiful, beautiful Corona-free day. It is also the last day of the year, December the 31st at 5:09 in the morning. How are you doing? So, this year recap, it's been a whirlwind of destruction and horrible things at the multitude, and I mean, you name it. But I really am thankful for it, in all honesty, because there has been very few great things that have happened this year, let alone good. But these things that happened in the course of this year, despite everything, have only changed me for the better in an ever positive, ever permanent way, in the best way possible. And I was just going to take a moment just to highlight those for a second. Now, here's the thing. This whole show, the first thing is this. This whole show is pretty much so that like the audience and listener and viewer and whatnot can get to know me on camera when I'm off stage, because I'm a comedian, amongst other things. And this was supposed to tie in between and around all of my shows, so that people, like I said, got to know me and get to know me off stage. But without doing any shows, how do I do that? Well, I just kept on doing the show, and I'm thankful for it, because people have my base audience of listeners has continued to grow, not just locally and nationally, but even internationally. So I'm really thankful for that. There's something called your voice when it comes to any sort of a and I'm listing them off right now. There's also something called your voice when it comes to like a spoken word art kind of a thing. It could be with maybe a poetry, or with maybe a music, or like kind of like your style, kind of in singing. And in my case, this would be comedy. Somebody one day called me an asshole, and it was actually a dear friend of mine. And it was funny because he wasn't saying I was being an asshole like in a mean way. He was just joking around and saying like I was a jerk, right? And I realized when we were talking back and forth that I'm at my funniest when I'm the most kind of agitated. But see, the thing about me is I don't really get agitated. Agitated is kind of like my baseline, if that makes any sense. So when I describe everything in that tone and in that moment, when something's like pissing me off and everything, which is pretty much always, I can go down that road pretty immediately. But in a way, I'm in all honesty, I'm always on it. I just don't really fully express it and stuff like that. Anyway, but in these moments externally when people see me like that, that's when I'm my funniest, in all honesty. When I'm making fun of someone, or I'm talking about some situation that wasn't working, and then finally I got it to work and stuff like that. Or when I describe it in that kind of a pissed off tone and whatnot, or when I'm just straight mean to someone, like all of that, it's not directly about being mean to someone, but what I'm saying is that whole mood and whatnot is when I'm at my funniest. And he pointed that out, and I realized that he was right. And I started evolving all of my comedy, the tone and the writing and everything like that. Excuse me, there was a car crash of some type. Anyway, and my delivery based off of that, not just my ideas in the writings, and how I deliver it and everything else. And since I've done that one discovery, okay, everything for the better exponentially. Now, everything that I do when I'm delivering, when I'm describing, when I'm going through ideas about how to approach a topic, a premise of something that's funny and stuff like that, I'm like 10 for 10 now. I'm just killing it. And it's great because now that I've got that, I really, someone can go watch me on stage no matter where they are, and they will always know, have an idea, kind of personality-wise, what to expect. Jiu-jitsu, that's the next thing. You know, during the Corona period, which is still now, but the gym was closed for about like a 2-month period. I wanted to, and not everyone that does jiu-jitsu, I'm just going to try to make this as simple as possible. I wanted to meditate on what was working, what wasn't working for me. And jiu-jitsu is basically like the art of ground fighting, in a sense. You know, like submitting and doing chokes and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, so I was by myself. Usually I start my mornings around 4 something in the morning, and I had a small light on, a backlight of a television, just on, and I had some music going on, and I just sort of tried to deconstruct everything that wasn't working that was working until I came to a solution. And I found a way, because I'm not strong and I'm not fast and I'm not athletic, how to use myself and move in certain ways that may be unorthodox but worked for me. And I'm still in the process of developing my own style for me. And I went from not finishing my opponents to finishing my opponents, from being less, not just active, but now active and reactive. I'm not speaking too cryptic, but basically, and then not just that, the kind of like the thought process of what and how I was going to be attacking and defending and doing everything against my opponents, which is actually, believe it or not, very similar to my style of comedy, which is aggressive, kind of in a sense like a whirlwind, and not stopping, and only really stopping to stop moving when I have someone in my most advantageous position. Now, all of that, what I just said, pretty much didn't make any sense to anybody, but I'm still getting it out there because there's someone that maybe practices jiu-jitsu or something like that, and they understand. But in short, in that aggressive, constant pressure kind of a style of comedy, that's what I'm doing for jiu-jitsu now. In addition to the technical aspect, that's just the thought process of what I'm doing. Something else that happened, the biggest show I ever performed in as far as comedy goes, and again, this is in no particular order, was maybe like 100, 150 people or whatever. Well, I did a show where I got paid the most amount of money ever before, and I also did it in front of the most amount of people ever before, which was about like 800 people, something like that, almost 1,000. So that was a personal record of myself. Throughout the year, there has been so many, what I had thought was missed opportunities, but if I could go back and do this year over again with the lessons that I've learned, I would have made a bigger impression now with these new lessons than I would have going through them without. So I really am thankful, in short, wrapping us up, for this year, because it's also made me more appreciative for the opportunities, not just that were I'm not going to say missed, but the opportunities that were blocked by circumstance of the government, of the state that you live in, and stuff like that. So what I mean is that this actually gives you a better opportunity when things start opening up, to work harder and to be more aggressive and to do everything to that next best, better level. Because you know, your minutes and your opportunity and stuff like that are always limited, but you can create more. You can always create more opportunities by starting your morning earlier, which is the exact reason I start my morning, even though I probably don't have to work until like 8 or whatever. I start my mornings around 4, because this way I have more hours before work to work on comedy, to work on jiu-jitsu. And all the only trade-off is watch less television at night. Maybe you go to bed earlier. It's not that big of a deal, you know. Would you rather start your morning doing something that you love, or start your morning doing driving on a way to a place you don't want to be just to make money, if that is your circumstance for your job? So, you know, to me it's very, very important to start your day with something that you're passionate about, and for me that's comedy and jiu-jitsu. So anyway, without further ado, final transmission of this year. If you got sort of like twisted around that whole jiu-jitsu stuff, like I said, it's kind of like a niche thing that you either do or you don't do, and the large populace of everyone doesn't. But I tried explaining myself as best as possible. Anyway, it was that one conversation that helped me find my voice, that helped me find my internal voice as far as jiu-jitsu goes, and it's the exact one. And I perform best doing comedy that way, and jiu-jitsu as well. Aggressive, constant pressure, just after it, you know? So, anyway, without further ado, again, this is Benja Welldone. Happy last year, and happy new next year to come. Check me out. Have a great one. I'm off. Peace.